This is Pastor Thomas Gross of the Living Faith Christian Fellowship Church in New Orleans. And one more time, I am sharing with you the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth regarding the false black Hebrew Israelite cult. And I am also the ethnic pastor in the state of Louisiana for African Americans in the Assemblies of God in Louisiana. Okay, so I want you to understand what we're doing, and I'm dealing with an issue that is becoming a plague among African Americans, threatening their salvation if they don't understand what is really happening. And I'm providing the truth. I'm not providing anything that I made up or that I improvised, but that which is laid out for us in Scripture. Scripture is history. It's the history of God. And then in secular history, something that's laid out. Has nothing to do with the Scriptures per se, but I want to talk about the footprint that has been left by the nation of Israel, in this case today, throughout their entire history. And that's what this particular segment is about. Okay? So I want to share this with you. Let's see, from here. Notice it's the history of let's see, I'm sorry here, but okay, here I am. The history of Israel timeline. See, now this is the footprint. I'm only showing you the footprint that they left. And you know what I'm showing you? The thing that I'm proving, where the black Hebrew Israelites claim that American blacks are Jews. They also claim that the American Indian also are Jews. And I think they might claim that Latinos are Jews. In other words, they're trying to decide who Jews are. And you know what? I would urge them to go down and to get a DNA test and find out if they are truly Jews. DNA works. DNA is real. Now, I know they don't like it. They don't like it, see. And part of the ignorance of their group will actually go and say and pull out a scripture. I'm trying to let me see, did I get I had the scripture a while back, and I think I'm going to have to go and get it one more time. They will go and pull out a scripture to debunk DNA. DNA is a proven science. Okay, that has nothing to do with Scripture, has nothing to do with God. DNA is a proven science. They can pretty much tell, for certain they can tell what sex an individual is. And in some cases they can tell what race an individual is. In some cases, it's that part of it is not, how can I put it? In other words, they can't just necessarily look at something, I believe, and say, okay, well, this person is black or white. But there are some things that are proven, and the DNA of Jewish people are specific. See, and there are those, anyone who is Jewish, it can be seen in his DNA. Now, that's a fact. Anyone who is Jewish, it can be seen in that individual's DNA. They have found murderers and criminals through DNA. All right, they've done that. They found people who are hiding, and they found the exact individuals who committed certain crimes through DNA. But the Jewish DNA is distinct. That's a fact. The Jewish DNA is distinct, and as a result, when a DNA test is done, they can tell whether you're Jewish or not. And I would urge every person who think they're Jewish, go get a DNA test. You see, and don't be silly and and pull up, because here's what and this is what ignorant people do. I've shared with you already a lot of their ignorance. Okay, I've already shared with you some of what they propose ignorantly. And in one scripture, they go to First Timothy, which is talking about something completely different. This is 1 Timothy 6:20, and where Paul is telling Timothy, "Oh Timothy, you know what?" And they don't even like Paul. They don't even like Paul, except that they pull out certain scriptures, and I'll tell you why they don't like Paul, at another time. But they don't like Paul, but they'll pull out certain passages in order to try to validate their point. And this is one of them. "O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings, and oppositions of science falsely so called." You see, so they'll pull that particular passage out to say that you don't find lineage through DNA, or you can't determine who is Jewish and who is not through DNA. Oh yes, you can. It's done all the time. You can determine who is and who is not Jewish through DNA. Fact. You see, so then this verse has nothing to do with DNA. It's not even about DNA. All right, so let's get that one thing straight. Now, that said, look at this history of Israel timeline, something that I pulled out a long time ago. Just watching, and notice Israel, the nation, is over 3,000 years old. Israel was destined to become a great nation. Israel was destined to be a blessing to all nations. Israel was also a chosen nation, a special people, planned to be God's witnesses, and especially chosen because God used the nation to bring the Messiah through. See, that's the whole point behind the nation of Israel. And Israel will exist as long as the sun, moon, and stars exist. Israel, or rather a saved remnant, will enter the Messiah's kingdom age on this earth. And all of that is basically what the Bible teaches. And then here's a timeline now of events, all going all the way back through to Abraham. Now this is important. God gave Israel her own land, ancient Canaan, through an unconditional covenant with Abraham. See that covenant with Abraham? That is very important to the gospel. See, you won't understand the gospel if you do not understand the covenant with Abraham. And this is one of the reasons why I said before, they don't understand who Jesus is, and they don't understand what he came to do, because they do not understand the covenant that God made with Abraham. You see, and God willing, I intend to deal with that in this series too. So now, if you notice, then it goes back to King David, how he established Jerusalem as the capital of the kingdom of Israel. So he's the one who actually made that establishment. Just recently, Donald Trump came back and officially declared that the United States recognizes Jerusalem as Israel's capital. And of course, there were a lot of people who did not like that declaration, but see, that declaration was on point with the scripture, because basically what President Trump did was basically corroborate what King David did in the year 1003. All right. Okay. And then it tells 922 BC, the 12 tribes split into a southern kingdom. One, the south being the house of Judah, and the north being basically the house of Israel, as it was called. And sometimes it was called its capital at the time was Samaria, and sometimes it was called Ephraim. Okay, you see, and sometimes it was just simply called Israel. But it was the northern kingdom when they split into two kingdoms. That's another topic for another time. Okay, and it talks about the Babylonians, how they destroyed the temple, and then the temple was rebuilt, and then it was destroyed by the Romans here in AD 70, you see. And then after that, the Romans renamed the land Palestina. All right, that's what they did. And then we jump into at the start of the 20th century, Palestine was still a mix of many peoples, you see, with no distinctive Jewish nation or Palestinian people. All right, and then we jump to 1922, the British mandate for Palestine sought a homeland for the Jewish nation Israel. Okay, and then the mandate encouraged Jewish immigration, which is called Aliyah. You see, here we go. So, and then in 1948, the Declaration of the State of Israel, which became a fulfillment of a biblical prophecy that God would return them to their land, which is exactly what he did. And here's the point: if you go through this entire, because this is a very good summary of what took place as far as the nation of Israel is concerned. And here it talks about the various tribes of Israel, and that was the promised land. At the time it was called Canaan. Then how the nation was birthed, and then how after that how the nation was scattered, and then there's a remnant, in the southern kingdom. And also what people are calling the lost tribes of Israel, the other 10 tribes of Israel. In fact, many, and there's biblical scripture to confirm that, which I'm not doing that right now, but there's biblical scripture to confirm that many of those individuals ended up living in Judah in the southern kingdom. You see, so that's, let me see, and then we begin to talk about the history of Gentile rule over Israel. Again, starting from 586 BC, the Babylonian Empire, all the way through to 1948, when Gentiles no longer ruled Israel. There were 4 governments four historical world empires that ruled Israel: the Babylonian, the Persian, the Greek, and the Roman. You see, and they ruled Israel in that order. There's that. And then now it talks about the recent history, the Aliyah and restoration. That is, the Aliyah is the return of Jews to Jerusalem. That is the key, the return of Jews to Jerusalem. And as we go through here again, here's some more dates from 1882 to 1947. You see, and notice the Exodus, in 1947, the Exodus, a refugee ship, was captured by the British off Palestine, and 45,000 Holocaust survivors returned to German prison camp. Okay, so in Holocaust, so you've got that, and then you've got in 1948 the establishment of the State of Israel. See, you have that right there. And then the start of mass immigration in 1948 to Israel. Now, see, that's what's significant, because in that mass immigration, doesn't mention anybody from Africa. You see, as a matter of fact, in some of those earlier dates, 1700s and 1800s, there is no mention of, the slave trade would have been right around here between 1517 and 1917. At that time, the Ottomans were ruling the land of Israel. But there is no speak of transatlantic slave trade from Africa. I want you to understand that. You see, there is nothing from Africa. You see, and it talks about who came from where. Many of these historical writings, okay, and talk about where these individuals came from, but there's no mention of Africa. No mention of Africa at all. You see. And my DNA does not contain any Jewish DNA. And that is a fact. Mine does not. So my children are not Jewish. I'm not Jewish, and neither are my children. Okay? But I shared with you in the last video, I shared with you Ethiopians, and their DNA shows Jewish DNA within theirs, and also the Limba tribe. See, and their DNA also shows Jewish DNA. All right, but our DNA, my DNA, shows no such. And I venture to say that most African Americans' DNA do not show any Jewish DNA either. See, and that is the point. I'm just simply debunking this false notion, this false idea that African Americans are Jewish, because we're not, unless whatever group of us may be from the Limba tribe, which I am not, or the Ethiopians, which I am not. And not even all Ethiopians are Jews, which is something else. Some Ethiopians are Jews, but not all Ethiopians are even Jews, and they do not possess the DNA. So that's what I want to share with you. I just wanted to kind of add to that last video that I dealt with, which shows an extensive historical footprint of the Israelites from all over the world, from wherever they went, okay, starting from AD 70 up until our time. See? So all these black people running around thinking that they're Israelites and they're Jews, you know what? You have been sold a bill of goods by people who do not know who Jesus is and don't know what he came to do. And you know what? I don't think they even care. To be honest with you, I don't think they even care. Because if you talk to them about Jesus, they downplay Jesus. They really do. They downplay him. Especially when I talk to them about what the scripture says, they downplay all of that. They do not want to even hear that. You see, so I just want you to know that these people who downplay Jesus, okay, they don't know who Jesus is, and they don't know what he came to do, and their founders had false visions of black people being Israelites, false visions, probably from demonic spirits, no doubt, you see, if not inventions of their own. And these individuals, their basis is not even Jesus. Their basis of God doesn't even start from Jesus. Their basis of God starts from being black. And I'm going to tell you something. Being black has absolutely nothing to do with God's salvation at all. So their idol is black and their God is black. But they don't understand who Jesus is and what they came to do. So every one of you following black Hebrew Israelites, any one of you who have been influenced by their teachings, you are being sold a bill of rotten goods that will get you nowhere with God, period. Now, if you want to get somewhere with God, watch my next video. Watch my next video where I show you who Jesus is and what he came to do, something that the black Hebrew Israelite followers don't know. And this is Pastor Thomas Gross with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. God bless.